Hello and welcome finally for the last and final episode of this year's World Cup in Qatar 2022, and it is Messi and Argentina. It had to be Messi and Argentina. The final World Cup, Messi had already declared it was going to be his final World Cup, and the fairy tale writes itself. It was written in the stars. Penalties is what it took because it seemed like Argentina were running away with it. But then came Mbappe and his three goals. But it just had to be Messi, it had to be him. 4-2. Emi Martinez's save in the 120th minute pushes this game into the penalties. And from then on, it was Emi Martinez once again who made one brilliant save, and then obviously Chouameni missing that penalty as well. It wasn't for France, it was for Argentina. I have with me Abel. Abel, is it still taking time to sink in? Because it's been a long time coming.
So, I mean, penny hasn't dropped, man. I'll just say campione, campione, ole, ole, ole. I mean, absolute mayhem, absolute bedlam. It's just one of those nights where I've lived as a fan. I've I just posted on social media saying that I've attained salvation as a football fan today, and I can actually stop watching sport. If I would take retirement from watching sport, this is the moment. And I waited 8 years for this moment, man. I literally waited 8 years for this moment. I remember watching this as a 14-year-old losing to Germany, and that was hurtful. That was shocking. That I took a lot of time for me to recover out of it. But today is just about living the dream as a kid. As Peter Judy would say that, Messi on a million backs,
Oh,
Messi
yeah.
for Rosario,
A
Messi
million
for
flash
the
bulbs.
yeah,
Yeah.
this was a moment today, and I mean, what a game of football! Just not taking away anything from France as well. If you were a neutral, you are extremely entertained. But what a World Cup! What a culmination to the most iconic sporting event in the world. I thought it
Yeah.
just couldn't have gotten any better. And my voice is absolutely gone because that was the state of things. Because watching a lot of friends and there was tension, there was everything, there was just emotion, there was roller coaster. I literally had to check my heart rate for sure when the third goal went in from France. So yeah, it was wonderful. It was just beautiful to witness all these moments, and what a wonderful game of football, man! It just was top notch. I don't think anything could actually now satisfy you, or anything will actually make you feel like, oh wow, this game of football is very good. Because this has really set a bar way too high for a final.
Oh man, absolutely. The most goals scored ever in a final, 3-3. Aisha asks, how are you able in Jaren? I'll be honest, Aisha, we were over the moon and then thrown back down to the earth. Then again over the moon and then again thrown back. But then finally the penalties came. And I'll be honest with you, we celebrated like crazy. I think both me and Abel are now finding it difficult to strain our voice and do this live. But it's probably one of the most easier lives for us
Yeah.
because, man, what a match! What a match! I mean, it's gonna be difficult to break it down because you're gonna have to look at it as an analyst, and now because you will have to look at it beyond your bias as a fan. But let's start then, if breaking this down, isn't it? Let's start with that first half because it was just brilliant for Argentina, wasn't it? Because it just seemed like they hit the ground running straight away. Even it did not take a long time for for Argentina to get the ball, even though France started it. Then I mean, from then on, it was just that one first half where two goals came in. It's just brilliant half from Argentina, isn't it?
I mean, first half we did set the tone. First half or through the course of the second half as well. There was a period of time where Argentina was totally dominating the game. Argentina just kept the mid block, as I mentioned even yesterday. And it was about Argentina not losing the shape, keeping a mid block, taking France on the counter. And the second goal came exactly that. First goal was just a brilliant cut in for Di Maria. There was a clear deflection from Dembele, which put Di Maria in the box, and there was a penalty for sure.
Yeah.
And that once that second goal came in, Argentina looked a lot more positive. Argentina looked like they had complete control of the game. But then, to be frank, those two goals from France did come against the run of play. Nobody even expected the
But I mean,
penalty
for
comment.
me, it will around the 65th minute, 66th minute, I think France started to gain some momentum. Their
No,
passes were
I can't say
finding two
momentum.
players and they
I would
would,
say there was a lot of attacking intention, especially on the especially when Kunde was trying to progress the ball, and they were trying to
yeah,
use their physical superiority in terms of their
correct.
height over people like Romero and Otamendi, and a tactic which Louis van Gaal deployed against Argentina while
Mm,
they were trailing 2-0 as well. A very similar tactic was tried to be used, and that's how the first penalty was actually won by them. They put a long ball, and the second ball they couldn't actually recover it, and they had to bring the player down inside the box. And exactly that's what happened, and penalty was given.
yeah,
Uh, and the second goal was just outstanding from Dembele. What a ball
absolutely.
in! Uh, to have that kind of mindset in that stage, considering it's a World Cup final, to put that in. I mean, just imagine, man. It's a World Cup final. Everything is at stake. For you to score that volley, that was brilliant. He kept it straight
Yeah,
beautifully.
yeah, yeah.
And for Argentina did dominate the extra time completely until the penalty came. But even there,
And that was a bit
even
unlucky as well, right? Because you expect, I mean, it was not the defender's fault at all. He was just trying to save his head. But it is the rule, and it was just unfortunate. And then it was a brilliant penalty from Mbappe. I mean, he scored three penalties today. You have to give it to the lad. We saw how difficult it was for Harry Kane to score two, right? But it is not easy because it's not easy to keep coming and the goalkeeper scored three penalties. He did them really well, even though Emi Martinez got out of the one that the first one that Mbappe scored, and then obviously the one in the extra time, not in the extra time, rather the one in the penalty shootout. Emi Martinez did get his hand to it, but it was the sheer force this lad put behind the ball that pushed it past Emi Martinez's gloves.
hmm. Absolutely. I mean that was very tough to say. Even the first one, Emi Martinez did guess it right. Even throughout the course of the three penalties which Emi Martinez had to face against Mbappe, two at least he guessed it same. He got a hand
Yeah,
to two of them, but then it was just sheer brilliance of Mbappe which pinned it in, and that's what you get from Mbappe. And he won the Golden Boot deservingly. He has had one of the best World Cups of his career. Uh, I mean, he's already won a World Cup. I don't think he has to actually shy away from anything. He has set a bar for himself and for world football, where he's
yeah,
announced himself now that he is the next one in the making for that GOAT of the generation. But what a way for, as Sandeepan is rightly mentioned, the
yeah.
two
Great
number
age gap
10
by the way between the two.
the two teams playing for the two number 10s. India in 2011 played for Sachin Tendulkar. Yeah, Argentina in 2021, 2022 played for Messi, and they won it for him. And what beautiful way! Two keepers stepping up in the final to win it for number 10s as well. It was just wonderful. It was just a moment of iconic brilliance as well. So
Yeah,
I mean, if goat or god or anything had to be settled in a footballing or a cricket field, this is the moment. And winning a World Cup is the pinnacle of sport, and winning a
yeah,
FIFA World Cup is the ultimate glory in sport. And for me, this as an Argentinian fan was just outstanding. I'm just waiting to add my third star. I just waited for this day. I said it mentioned that the third star will be coming very soon, and it has come. We'll be printing it very soon. The third star on the jersey. Waited for this 36 long years, man. It's a long, long time. Let's remember that 36 long
yeah,
years. The first trophy was won after 28 years by Argentina last year when they defeated Brazil in Maracana. But now to win this in Lusail, what an occasion! There was a ceremonial way to how they greet the kings in Qatar to tie the
yeah.
rope, and the way they tied that to Messi. It was a
That was just
ceremonial goal.
symbolic. It was
It
symbolic.
was a way to actually ceremonially put Messi as the king, as the goat, to lift the World Cup. That was just moment of iconic history. This is football heritage for me. This is what you live for. This is what, after all the heartbreaks I've gone as a football as a sports fan, I think this sums it up, man. This is just beautiful for me. And we have a lot of comments coming, so I think we have to take some of the comments. Tanya says one
I
more.
mean,
I
let's
have made
start
a
with
doubt.
Sandipani's second comment, right? Where he says Martinez saving that one-on-one at the last moments of the extra
Yeah,
time was so critical.
yeah,
Let's talk
absolutely.
about
I thought
Emi
that was the
Martinez, right?
save. That was the save of the
Um,
entire tournament for
yeah,
Martinez against Thuram, who has had a very good game until then. Remember, Didier Deschamps bringing in someone like a Thuram in play was a big deal, because
And
with
he
Thuram, don't
brought him,
forget.
and I mean, look at the kind of
Exactly.
shoes that he had to fill, right? It was Dembele's shoes that he
There
had
were
to
two
fill.
things, because on the right hand region, France were getting opened up time and time again. With Thuram, what you get
Yeah,
is a defensive stability as well. His off the ball running skills are way superior compared to someone like a Dembele. Dembele is improving in terms of his off the ball skills, but is still highly vulnerable. So had to bring in someone like a Thuram, and what he gave you off the ball was exceedingly well on the right hand region, which
mm,
made sure that Tagliafico was completely shut down on the left hand region for Argentina. And today you saw where the way he was cutting inside, and where he was 1-on-1 with Emi Martinez, it could have gone in. It would have gone in maybe 8 out of 10 times, and it just did not. That was just moment of brilliance for Emi Martinez to actually press ahead, come forward, and actually take it all. And that was just beautiful from Emi Martinez, and that's why you call Emi Martinez as a player for clutch occasions. Di Maria is a player for clutch occasions. His goal was outstanding. His play in both the goal contributions was outstanding. McAllister's assist was top notch, and Messi, of course, scoring 2 goals, winning the Golden Ball, which he won in 2014, of course. But now it's more satisfying that he has won the Player of the Tournament, and he has he's lifted the World Cup. So, and also let's not forget Emi Martinez save in the penalties when Mbappe scored the first goal. The pressure was on Argentina to score. Messi
yeah.
again scored everything. Messi put his everything to score that beautiful penalty. And after that, Emi Martinez saving Coleman, and also Emi Martinez exchanging words with Chouameni. Put Chouameni under tremendous pressure. Put Chouameni under tremendous pressure. Remember, he's just a 19-year-old kid, and we have seen a lot of kids miss penalties in big occasions. Can't blame them. It is just the pressure getting onto them, and of course, Chouameni missed it. But then every penalty taken. Remember, Dybala was not there in the pitch at all. For him to come in the right moment and to take the penalty and take the penalty
Yeah,
with
yeah,
so
yeah.
much of perfection
I mean, we
is
did
just
speak about it
incredible.
right before when I think it was who was it? There was a penalty shootout. I don't remember exactly which team it was, but it was Spain, correct? It was Spain versus Morocco, where the Spanish team brought forward their substitute players, and we spoke about how difficult it is for a substitute player who isn't played for a long time, to come forward and step up and score a penalty. But Dybala came during the even after the 120th minute mark had crossed, and that's where you have to realize maybe Dybala came in for that, especially came in for penalties, and it was, you would say, a moment in the sun for him as well, because many Argentinian fans have been speaking about how he hasn't got any chance to come forward, and do well, but this was again his chance, and he took it, right? He showed what a player he can be, or he is already.
Absolutely, and that is something which Dybala is also known for. Remember, he's a huge name in European football. He was marquee signing for Roma this season. This season, he is linked up with Roma. He has played some important games for Roma, and he's linked up with Tammy Abraham really well, playing in that formation for Roma. And he's coming off a very decent season with Roma, and he's a
Hmm.
player who's in good form. And it's unfortunately he did not get to start throughout the course of the World Cup. He was brought in the last game where everything was almost done and dusted. And this game, when the moment actually required him to come and do a job, he came and did a job. So that's what every player in this Argentinian team had a role to do. And that's the best part about this victorious Argentinian squad. It's just not Messi's brilliance. Messi winning 5 man of the matches, including the man of the match in the final, scoring in every game from round of 16 is a thing on its own. And scoring 7 goals in a World Cup, winning the best player of the tournament is a thing of its own. But the fact of the matter is, for Dybala, for someone like Emi Martinez, for Enzo Fernandez, for McAllister, for Rodrigo De Paul, these lads have been outstanding, man. These lads have been one of the best. No, I mean, agree with you, Kapil Verma, totally on this. This was very similar to what happened in 2006, but in 2006, you also saw a lot more drama. Similar game. You had
I think
France and Italy going neck to neck in a
so.
2-2 game.
Here's an interesting stat table. France is had two finals where they've been, in a penalty shootout, and they've lost both. I think it was 2002 and 2006, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, no,
That's the
2006
two.
and
22,
2022
sorry.
to
Yeah,
that
yeah,
South America.
2006 and 2022. Yeah, correct. So that is how, France has not had a great penalty shootout record as well. We know how they crashed out in the Euros as well. It was on a penalty shootout again. But today again,
I mean,
you have to say,
see, a penalty shootout is anybody's game. You just need to show that
yeah.
moment of brilliance, and
I
Emi
mean, but even
Martinez.
for me, here's something that give me your insights on this. I felt Didier Deschamps did not keep. I understand his tactics is the reason why France is able to pull the game back, but he did not keep any of the expert penalty takers, the experienced players, because It was all, it were a lot of the players who stepped up to take the penalties were players who were taking their first penalty shootout finals in the finals of a World Cup.
See, there were few reasons why Didier Deschamps had to make those substitutions. Firstly, he did not expect the game to get penalties at when the moment he made the substitution. It was out of desperation.
Yeah.
It was out of sheer game tactical calls where he had to get in runners who could make those direct runs, who could make those in behind runs, put the Argentinian defense under pressure. So he had to bring in like someone like a Thuram. He had to bring in someone like a Kingsley Coman. See, these lads will really make a difference because these lads can press and also give you those runs inside the box, cut inside,
I mean, it did
make those
work,
in
right?
behind
The
runs.
second goal that came from Mbappe, but where it really started was when Koeman, tackled Messi, spun him
Yeah,
around, then passed the ball to, I think it was Thuram himself who got the ball, and then he pushed the ball up for Mbappe in clear space. And Mbappe had enough space. I think any football player at an international level, if he gets the amount of space Mbappe got at that moment, I think anyone would have scored. And Mbappe did what he did. He was a clinical finish, but it was those two substitutions which really turned the game around.
absolutely, Jaren, and that's something which Didier Deschamps is known for as well, right? He can make those important calls when it matters the most, and he did make those important calls, especially the substitutions which he made. It might have looked silly for a lot of people, especially if you look from a far side of things, right? You might think like, okay, are these really the right calls? In terms of him making these changes and taking off players like Antoine Griezmann, in terms of him taking out Giroud in the first half, but these were calls which were tactically motivated, especially bringing Thuram, as I mentioned, was a call to actually cover up that right hand region where they were defensively opening up. And when it comes to bringing in someone like a Kingsley Coman, was absolutely on the fact that he could make those he could be more quicker on the ball compared to Griezmann. They were holding the ball a lot, which made sure that Argentinian midfielders could press at them, gave them the opportunity to press. And you saw it did work for them. Penalty was definitely not in the concern at that point. But now, if you look back at things, maybe yes, yeah. Some of the major penalty takers were definitely not there in the lineup when it went to the penalties. Imagine, even in the extra time, there was a moment of time where you felt like Argentina are going to win it clean and square. It's not going to go to even penalties. But then it just kept on going from one end to the other end, one end to the other end. It was just like a whirlwind of a game, man. It was just sheer whirlwind of a game. You remember, even once after France equalized, the momentum was completely with France. It could have easily been 3-2 there and France lifting the World Cup right now, but it just did not happen. There were a couple of moments of brilliant clearances towards the end by Dybala. When it comes to one of the clearances by Emi Martinez, even in the 90 minutes there, there was an important save made as well. So there were really some important moments which had been there, but France did not capitalize on that because the momentum was there in France's favor. Because Argentina all of a sudden did not know what really happened when they gave up the 2 goal lead. But then that's what happens, right? In a sporting match, it's a game of momentum. But the moment it went to penalties, Argentina really believed that they had done it once, they could do it all over again. The good thing for Argentina is that they were in a situation like this 2 games prior to this against the
Yeah.
Dutch team. So they exactly knew what to do, not to panic a lot, just to gather themselves and come back better in the extra time. That's exactly what happened. And remember, there was a Messi shot in the 90 minutes which could have possibly gone in. There was a brilliant, brilliant save from Hugo Lloris. If that would have gone in, the game was done there and then. It was in the last minute of the game. So that's what you say, right? This game had a lot of important moments. France really came back into play from the 70th minute, as you really
Yeah.
mentioned. But then, even then, Argentina could have really. Argentina and France went neck to neck. There was no
Yeah.
moment towards the last 30 minutes where you felt like there's one team dominating. It was a whirlwind of a game, a complete justification to what a final should be in a FIFA World Cup. And this has risen the bar way too high for any finals to be played across sport.
Absolutely. What a final really, because I mean, it was just incredible, But let's break down some of the goals now, Abel. Let's start with the first goal that happened. It was a penalty shout, and Messi slotted it home. But what do you reckon about the penalty straight away? I mean, before we do talk about penalty, we have to talk about Angel Di Maria, who won that penalty for Argentina. What a player he has been for this team. I mean, he's obviously been one of their unspoken heroes. He has been a clutch player, right? And he was the one who started that tempo for Argentina on the left side. He kept making those runs, and the kind of dribble that he made, it was just so. It was like the ball never left his feet, and France had to take him down to get the penalty, but it was a clear penalty after all.
It was. I mean, there was a clear contact from Dembele inside the box, and once there's a clear contact, if you bring the player down, it's a penalty as per the rules. And nowadays, even with VR, those are touch and go. You get those
Hmm.
penalty calls more often than not, and hence, I believe that was a penalty call which went that way. But to be talking very frankly about what happened during the course of the goal, I really felt like that was a brilliant moment of play. Once again, Di Maria was outstanding in terms of the way he was trying to take the ball inside the box, the way in which he was able to create an impact in whatever moments he had inside the pitch. That was outstanding. The way how much assured he looked coming back after an injury inside the pitch, the kind of confidence he had. And remember the link up play between or breaking the
Yeah.
defensive lines of Messi was outstanding once again today. Remember the second
So I
goal as
mean,
well. Messi.
we have to talk. We will talk about Messi, obviously, when we speak about it. But his touches and his through balls, it was just Messi again. It was just vintage Messi. All of Messi's great moments piled into that 120 minutes, and then the penalty, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Kapil, yeah, I hope India does one
Oh
day.
yeah,
We all hope the same. And that's something which every Indian football fan would like to hope. Hazil says it's footballing heritage. Absolutely, Hazil. This is footballing heritage for every fan to believe in. And this is the moment of glory which will be etched in forever. As you believe Maradona, I think Maradona inspired a generation to fall in love with Argentina. I think now Messi now has inspired uh, now maybe two generations now to fall in love with the sport and to fall in love with Argentina. And now maybe the kids of this generation will tell maybe 20, 30 years later, I saw Messi lift the World Cup and that was the most iconic World Cup of my life. And that's what our fathers and our granddads have been telling us all this well. We've never got the opportunity to live
yeah,
through that. But now finally we are here. Second South American team to lift it in the last 2 decades. Last South American team to lift it was Brazil in 2002. So imagine there was 2 decades where South American football hadn't dominated football. As we manifested here, it is going to be a South American World Cup, and I'm so glad it's the Blues of South America who's lifted up, and it's Argentina who's lifted it up. I mean, we all predicted Argentina to win the World Cup. A lot of people did predict Argentina to win the World Cup. But then Saudi Arabia, remember, let's just go back, right? Saudi Arabia was the biggest hiccup. It was similar to what Spain lost against Switzerland in
yeah.
2010. But the way in which this team put up a show from there on, and Lionel Messi really was a driven or a possessed man through the
Hmm.
course of the World Cup. This was possibly one of the best tournaments I've seen of Leo Messi. I've seen 2010 Champions League, 2009 Champions League, 2011 Champions League, 2015. The season at large was Messi on another level. But then there was a sense of aggression which I've never seen from Messi. What I've seen this season or
Yeah,
this
yeah.
World Cup, and from the entire team as well, which made them so determined, which made them go all the way. As we speak, football is all about that. Football or in big sporting moments, it's about who needs it the more, who really wants it the more. Morocco was
Correct.
a beautiful story like that, and Argentina really had the skill backed up by their determination, which really took them all the way. And now you really believe that the GOAT debate is finally settled.
I mean, yeah, you have to say that. I mean, he's had one trophy, because Ronaldo had one continental trophy. Messi got one with Copa America. The World Cup was the deciding factor, and I mean, it is. I think it's pretty much settled now. But let's talk about now the second goal, right? It all started with that great deflection. I mean, not deflection as a, but the great touch by Messi, where he turned and sent McAllister through, and then McAllister set it up for Di Maria, who scored that brilliant goal. It was 2-0 by the second half, and from there on, you just felt like it's gonna get worse for France. But talk us through that goal, right? It was just great team play. It was a proper Argentinian goal, you would say.
Yeah, Sandeep, and I bet you would have done the same. But I think the reason why he got substituted is also because of the fact that he was not 100% fit.
I mean, you
There
have to
was a
also
certain bit of risk.
understand Sandimani for me, because I think he got substituted around the 66th, 67 minute. They brought in a left back in Acuna because they wanted to make sure that the defensive, line stays a lot stronger, especially in that left wing area. And that's the reason why, because at that point in time, you're leading 2-0, you don't want to score any more goals, and you want someone like you want your players to be defensively great. And I think the only two options he had was either to bring in Lisandro Martinez, make it three at the back, or maybe bring in Acuna. And Acuna is still good at the ball; he can still provide those crosses into the box. And I think that's the reason why Scaloni went with Acuna, and I think he had a decent match as well.
Yeah, and to be very fair to you, or to be fair to Sandeepani as well, I'll say that was a 50-50 call, to be honest. Where to keep Di
Hmm.
Maria through the course of 90 minutes, and there was also the sense that Argentina are going to actually finish the game off in 90 minutes. There was
Yeah,
no possible way that France are going to come back, because at that, even during that point, France were not creating any sort of chance. Argentina
exactly.
had possibly three or four more chances in that half. It could have possibly been even 4-0 leading into that 66 minute. So hence Di Maria was substituted off. And also remember, Di Maria was not 100% fit. So they needed someone who could do the defensive duties on the right hand region, because there were a lot of runs made by Hules Kunde, which was actually
Hmm.
putting them under so much of threat. And with Acuna, what you get is you can get defensive and attacking option. Acuna played as a left
Yeah.
wing back. Towards the later half, Argentina went at five at the back, with Acuna being the left wing back, Tagliafico being the left center back as well. So that's how they went about it. And remember, Argentina also brought in something like a Pezzella towards the latter end, not even Lisandro Martinez, because there were a
Hmm.
lot of France attackers who were actually physically superior to them in terms of their
And also
height.
they were playing
And
the long ball, strategy as well that worked for Netherlands and Van Gaal. And that's the reason why Lisandro Martinez is obviously being one of the shorter defenders in the international level. Probably wasn't equipped in that sense, and that's the reason why Scaloni did not go to him.
absolutely. And Priyanka, maybe. I mean, I know it takes a lot of guts to say this, but then I'll give it to you
Yeah,
for this. But this is what football is all about, right? Today, Mbappe. There was a moment between Emiliano Martinez and Mbappe where Mbappe was on the ground, where the French president Macron was committed, trying to console him. Emi Martinez comes and lifts him up and says, "You have done it all."
yeah.
Imagine this lad has done every single thing. So, yeah, as a football fan, maybe you'll have to accept that Messi is the possible. At this point, he's maybe miles ahead in terms of the debate and in terms of this accolade, the particular accolade which really sets apart footballing careers and generations. But there's
Hmm.
nothing taking away from Cristiano Ronaldo as well. He's a player of its own. He has made a Portuguese nation which could only dream of playing in the World Cup into a team which could really contend for a World Cup. That in itself is a huge, huge deal. For Messi, the pressure was always different. For Messi, it was about matching Maradona and the legacy. For Portugal,
Yeah.
it was always about setting a new bar every time they step onto the field under Cristiano Ronaldo. So that in itself is a huge deal. Now, for a lot of generations after Cristiano Ronaldo, they'll have to uh, achieve something really big. For Cristiano Ronaldo to win the Euros in itself was a huge, huge deal. Because remember, defeating France in their own home turf in 2016 was a huge achievement. And that's why you feel like Cristiano Ronaldo has achieved a lot for Portugal. Nothing to be taken away from him. He's a leading goal scorer in international football. So there are a lot of things Cristiano Ronaldo which makes him a goat of his own. But then Messi with that coveted trophy really puts him far ahead. Now, if you have to compare the
Hmm.
Portuguese team in terms of talent with the Argentinian team, I think Portuguese team this World Cup was way more superior than the Argentinian team. But then it is what it is ultimately. Argentina, in terms of just sheer desire, sheer willingness, have really gone through it. But then coming back to the question again you asked, uh, I personally feel, you know, the second goal as well, second goal as well, I thought there was an opportunity where they could have possibly not let that happen. But Messi's brilliance, man. Messi's brilliance was just shown throughout there. That one touch where he actually put it off to McAllister to make that run, and Di Maria getting in position. And even talking about France's first goal, right? That also came against run of play, but then yet again, that's why I personally felt like Mbappe's run inside the box. Mbappe trying to really trying to create the attacking threat with pace on the left hand region, really put an overload on the left hand region for Argentina, which left the space open through the central region. That's exactly what happened in the second goal as well. They did not really see Mbappe getting to that position. There was a lapse of concentration which really helped him, and that volley was outstanding. But
Yeah.
Messi's goal, the third goal, to actually sum up to the third goal as well. Messi's third goal was
Oh,
outstanding, man. The ball
yeah, yeah,
in, the one touch, uh, and yeah, people could say, did it go in? There wasn't an offside. It wasn't an offside. It was a clear
It was
onside
not.
decided.
I think it was there was a clear graphic that was shown by the FIFA team as well. there is, I think this is VR. I mean, you cannot have any more debates about VR as well, because it's not a video assistant referee now who sits there. He's assisted by computers and the chip in the ball as well, so it is very
Yeah,
much computerized. All he has to do is he has to relay the information to the referee. It is not human error anymore. So I think that is a pretty, I mean, you guys, I mean, it's not like, oh, it's in Premier League. That chip technology has not come to the Premier League or any of these leagues. It is tried on the
yeah,
World Cup for the first time, but you have to realize that the players are tracked based on their ball movement off the ball. So
yeah.
there's definitely not an offside.
Definitely not an offside, and
Yeah,
but yeah, that was a brilliant goal. That I thought was the most important goal Messi would have scored in his entire career. Not the most beautiful goal, but the most important goal, and the goal which will satisfy him the most. But
yeah,
even after that, that handball which came in Mbappe scoring a hat trick in a World Cup final after 1966. Imagine before this World Cup final, you would have said Mbappe would have scored a hat trick. If
yeah,
Mbappe was scoring the hat trick, we all would have thought, okay, France are winning the World Cup. Despite scoring a hat trick for France to go out to be the second best team on the pitch, man, that's in itself says what a bloody game of football that was.
yeah,
It was as the intensity of this game was as big as any game which was played in the last 10 years, in terms of the last 2 or 3 World Cups, the most highly intensive final which was played in the last 3 World Cups. Even in the last World Cup when these two teams met, it was a high scoring game. It was 4-3, but you saw France a better team even in that game. But today you couldn't really separate. Maybe there were phases where you felt like Argentina were the best, and there were phases you felt like, France were absolutely the best. Then again, Argentina were the best, then France. So it just kept on. It was like a battle which was being exchanged between the two teams, and finally Argentina took it all and ran away with it.
yeah. I mean, fair enough, because you have to. I mean, let's talk about the French team, right? Let's talk about some of the players from there. Let's start with two players who were conspicuously not underperformed. Really, you would. Let's start with Olivier Giroud and Griezmann. I mean, two people who we spoke about at length leading up to the tournament. I mean, leading up to the finals. They were two really important players for the French team, but today they did not turn up at all. I mean, what do you think is the reason for that? Why do you reckon
I
Argentina
don't think they
managed
did
those
not
two?
turn up at all. But if you look at Griezmann, right, I've mentioned again with France team, it's not that they're not the most. They don't really look the most flamboyant in terms of their ball possession, in terms of them holding the ball a lot. Their off the ball movements, they keep a mid block, then they're trying to counter you. And for Antoine Griezmann, what has happened today was Enzo was on him. They made sure there was no creativity on him. Argentina did try to make those Argentina made sure that there were no chances, or even Griezmann did not have enough ball in him. And that was an important thing which Scaloni did today. Enzo was at Antoine Griezmann through the course of the game. But for Giroud, uh, I thought he was extremely threatening. Even in that first half, though France did not even have a single shot on target, but Giroud was the most threatening player. Aerially, whenever he got the ball, he was winning the fouls for them. I was a little surprised when he was taken off, but then I still understood that he was taken off because they wanted pace, a direct runner. But Giroud, what you get is someone who holds the ball, who can actually release the ball to someone like an Antoine Griezmann, or someone for Mbappe to cut inside, or for Dembele to cut inside. That's something which they did not want from Giroud. So hence he was taken off. I still thought taking out Giroud was not the most ideal decision for Griezmann. On the flip side of things, I thought Griezmann did not have the best of games. Firstly, his attacking outlets were closed down in the half spaces wherever Mbappe could get in position, or even where Dembele could get into position in half spaces. Those were absolutely denied by Argentinian team by keeping up a compact mid block. So it was important for McAllister, likes of Rodrigo De Paul, to be extremely compact so that Antoine Griezmann does not release his final ball through. And he was actually pressed upon. Every time Antoine Griezmann got the ball, he was pressed upon by Rodrigo De Paul, by Enzo Fernandez. So which made sure that there was no attacking outlets which were created, or the players not getting half spaces for him to actually release the ball. So that's what happened today. It can happen with any players. Can't really say that he not really step up. He's had a wonderful tournament through the course of this, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, you have to give kudos to, you have to give kudos to Griezmann and Giroud. They both were extremely important for this team. But now let's talk about some of the players, who were brought on. Let's start with Kamavinga, a player, who did not get a lot of opportunities for France. Again, he was brought on today. How do you reckon his performance was today overall if you look at the finals?
I mean, he was brought in instead of Theo Hernandez,
Yeah,
and he was put in the left wing back position because he's already done that job pretty well against Tunisia, and hence he was brought once again. There was a complete faith which was shown by Didier Deschamps that he can actually play in that role and actually fulfill that duty to what do you say, in a complete level where he can actually put up a performance, and hence he was brought into the pitch. I'm not surprised by the way in which he was brought in and brought into that position in the game. And remember, I still remember where for something like a Kama winger in the Champions League semi-final against Manchester City, he came in and he made a lot of difference. Even today, on the left-hand region, he did try to release a couple of balls for Mbappe, where Mbappe made those runs towards the latter end, which was extremely threatening. Because with Kamavinga, what you also get is way of his aerial duels in terms of him doing the dirty work on the left-hand region is extremely good. His creative play as well is very good. Him getting into left half spaces in terms of the attacking transition was important today, and he did release a couple of important balls for Mbappe to make those runs in. And hence, I thought he had a very he had a very decent impact towards if you look at the overall scheme of things. But then he was important as well. Theo Hernandez was threatening. But he was doing a lot more defensive work. But then Kamavinga, surprisingly, he was a lot more creative when he came on the left hand region.
yeah. I mean, another player, who really impressed was obviously Koeman, who was brought in. I was a bit skeptical, when he was brought in instead of Griezmann because you are again bringing another player who's known to finish off chances rather than create one. But he was really important for them towards the end because he made sure, that he changed the game around in the midfield where France were looking a little bit soft, you would say, before, he came on. He, as we already spoke about his contribution to the second goal, but overall he made sure that he was always the one who was creating play, even though maybe not as efficiently as Griezmann, but he was there all around the park. He was getting the ball. He was again fetching the ball, making sure that he progresses the ball to the final third, and then from there on, giving it to a playmaker. And it really did work, isn't it? His substitution.
It did work. It did work in a lot of through the course of the game. But finally,
Took the
uh,
penalty.
missing the penalty is something which you can't really blame
I mean,
him
but
for
then
that.
would you say he is at fault, or do you think it was just brilliance from Emi Martinez?
It was brilliant from Emi Martinez. I don't think he was at fault. He went in the
Because for
right
me,
direction.
he did everything right, Abel. He hit it hard towards the corner. It was all as close as you can get to the corner, but it was just Emi Martinez guessed it right and jumped at the right time.
Exactly. Emi Martinez almost gets every penalty right. Mbappe's just short power is what really put him, or the finesse is what really uh, helped him to actually score those two goals against Emi Martinez as well. If it were to be any other player, they would have actually struggled against Emi Martinez, because with Emi Martinez, what you also get is that his movements when he's on the line as a keeper really distracts you, and he takes those.
Hmm.
And his guesswork, his instincts, he waits for the player to actually until the final moment to actually make the dive, and his reflexes are top notch. He's one of the best shot stoppers out there.
Yeah,
Maybe I mean he will be remembered. His stocks are going to really go up after this World Cup, and it deservingly should go up because two major tournaments with Argentina, two Golden Gloves. I don't think no other keeper has had a better run with an Argentinian squad in the last
yeah.
2 decades.
What do you reckon about? I mean, before we do go to the Argentinian team and their substitutions as well, let's talk about one. I mean, let's talk about the one player who also came in right after, which was Thuram. Right, we spoke about him already a little bit, but he was just incredible today. He came on to fill the shoes of Olivier Giroud, and it is not going to be difficult, to it's not going to be easy, obviously, to make those runs and fill in the shoes of Olivier Giroud. But he did a great job again, wasn't it?
I mean, Thuram, as I mentioned, there was a reason why he was brought into the pitch as well, because um, see, with Thuram, what he gets is a lot of defensive work off the ball, and on the right hand region of France, they were getting exposed extremely. With Kunde actually pushing a lot wider, and Kunde also trying to play a lot more ahead in terms of keeping a high line. He was trying to create a lot of chances. With Dembele, you were not getting defensive support on transition. With Thuram, what you get is that you get a defensive solidity on the right hand region, and that's hence Deschamps brought in Thuram. And Thuram was also expected to start ahead of Olivier Giroud today, as per reports which came out yesterday as well, because there were a lot of reasons why Thuram was actually in the contention to start, and he had a very good game today. And he was almost on there to actually score the winner for France as well in the 120th minute. So he had a very, very good game, and that was a brilliant substitution from Didier Deschamps.
Well, final thoughts, enable on on both the managers, because both of them are on top of their game. Didier Deschamps did take some time, but he really turned the game around. We spoke about that as well. But final thought on both the managers.
I mean, Didier Deschamps, I think he's achieved it all with France. I think he should not be, he shouldn't be sad, or he shouldn't actually feel low about anything. To be honest, in terms of anything he's achieved with France, he's won the World Cup as a captain for them. He's won the World Cup as a coach for them in the last World Cup. Took this France team, who nobody actually gave a chance, into the final, and the way they competed in the final, man, what a way to go down fighting. I mean, if you want to actually earn respect of the world, this is a way to earn respect, because you fought till the last blood, and the last blood was round, which went into the penalties. In penalties is anybody's game. Even in the 113th minute, when Argentina scored, you did not give up. You came back, scored back in 4 minutes time, took the game into the penalties. Every substitution was with an intent, with a tactical move. But to be talking about Lionel Scaloni, I remember Lionel Scaloni's tweet when Leo retired in 2016. Leo, don't go. Please don't go. That's where it
Yeah.
all began. For him to actually entrust this team, make this team believe that you are the bunch in 2019 who's going to win me the World Cup in 2022, is what really changed it. There's been an atmosphere like family within the unit, which meant that these people are playing for each other. This team had the back of each other, and the atmosphere which Walter Williams, Lionel Scaloni, Pablo Aymar, everybody created from the coaching staff has been outstanding. And I think you have to give credit to the entire Argentinian coaching staff, as they've achieved the pinnacle of the pinnacle of the world glory. And I think you have to give credit also because of Lionel Scaloni, the way
Yeah.
he has made this team not only win the World Cup, also be the continental champions, made them win the finalissima against the European champions, and now to take this all off in a final like this, kept the composure, made them believe, come on, you can actually get over the line. When you lost against Saudi Arabia in the first game, to come back out of it, answer the critics. Because after the first game, people were like, Lionel Scaloni do not have a plan B. You won 36 games on a trot. No, you actually were unbeaten for 36 games, out of which there were 13 draws. You played against lower ranked oppositions. Come up against a strong European opposition, you're going to struggle. But every question were answered through the course of this World Cup, and finally you're the world champion. I think everybody across the world can take a bow, and if there's a best coach award for the year, he'll take it. He'll absolutely take it.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. Abel, let's look at some of the comments before we leave. We have Carlo Fernandez, who says the man, the myth, the legend, Leo. Yes, I mean, absolutely. I think he's written his, the greatest full stop to. Let's hope there's more to come, because I just was going through. ESPN is already reporting that Messi says he wants to play as champion for Argentina, which means Messi is going to continue to don the Argentinian jersey, if not in the World Cup, but we're going to be seeing him for a little while as well.
I think
And
he'll
something
play the
else,
2024 Copa America, and he'll possibly call it a day. I,
yeah,
I really don't
maybe.
want him to play that, but
Me too. But if he wants to play Abel, who are we to stop, right?
I mean, yeah, man. I mean, he's got another World Cup in him for sure. With the
Yeah.
performance he's put up in this World Cup, I think he's got another World Cup as just a midfielder for this team. I think he can,
Mm.
as a 39-year-old, he can actually pull off a very, very decent World Cup in 2026 in American soil, which is very, very close. I don't know where he's going to end up playing after this season with Paris Saint Germain, but I'm pretty sure he's got another World Cup in minor 4 years is a very, very long time. A lot of things can change, but then I really, really hope he plays as a champion for Argentina, maybe for one last time. There's a farewell game for him, and I hope it's in his home turf in Argentina, in Buenos Aires, against any opposition. He'll do it. He deserves a guard of honor where he puts that trophy, where he actually presents that trophy in front of Bombonera, or in Rosario, where a lot of kids, where a lot of boys, where a new Messi will be actually seeing him and will be getting inspired. It's time for the next Argentinian messiah to actually step up. You saw Maradona, you saw Messi. Who knows who's the next one? And maybe that kid is already there. It's time for him
Yeah.
to step up, and it could possibly be from the Messi family as well. You never know. So
Mm.
that is what it is. And for Messi, I don't think nothing will be taken. Not this moment can never be taken away from his life.
Yeah.
If he has to achieve anything, he's achieved it all. He has achieved every single accolade in world footballing history: Club World Cup, FIFA World Cup, Champions League, Copa America. Name the trophy, he's achieved it all. Maybe I'm missing out on a trophy which is not won. That's probably the competition which he has not played in, maybe. But it
Yeah.
is what it is, right?
I think whatever
Ultimately,
he's played, he's won.
he's won everything, whatever
Yeah.
he's played. In my memory, at least, he has played. Maybe there's might be some Juan Campers trophy or something of that sort, some tin pot which is not achieved, but it doesn't matter, man. He has achieved it all. He can call it a full stop. And I remember '98. Watching the last dance, right, of Chicago Bulls, where Michael
Yeah.
Jordan scored the winner and called it retirement, and for him to come back and to actually end the career in a different way was not good, because it did not end
Hmm.
well. You not remember for the glory of the winner and calling it the last dance. We call Messi the last dance. We wanted him to end it on a high. There's no not a lot of players get that opportunity to end it on a high, Jared. A lot of legends get to
Absolutely.
end it on a high. Like so
Yeah.
Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, they did not get to end it on a high. Though they won in
Hmm.
2002, they never got to end it on a high. Ending it on a high is a greatest sporting feat you can actually do. Even for Sachin Tendulkar, he couldn't end it on a high. He had that
Yeah.
2 years where he actually went behind the 100 centuries. A lot of criticism came his way after that. So it's important to end it on a high, call it off when you are on the top or on the pinnacle of sporting glory. And there is no way, there's no greater achievement than that as a sports player or as an athlete.
I mean, absolutely. Able number eight loading then for Messi.
Absolutely. I don't think anybody can stop, because just saw the Argentina numbers, right? It's also his numbers with his only rival is his own teammate from Paris Saint Germain. There's nobody
Yeah.
else at this point. If Mbappe has a terrific Champions League, the French media might just vote for Mbappe to win it. But the fact is that Messi will win it, man. Messi at this point looks like the clear cut winner for it, because he's having a terrific, terrific season with PSG as well. Regardless of
Hmm.
what Paris Saint Germain will achieve in the Champions League, if they go on to even play the final, Messi will win the Ballon d'Or number 8.
Yeah. I mean, fair enough. Then on that note, thank you guys for joining
I'll
us
also
once
add to
again.
that. Remember, Messi was not even part of the nominees in the top 30 nominees in the last season. For him to
Yeah.
come back and put up a performance like this and to win the eighth, if he goes on to win, man, man, that is what you call, man. That is what you call the goat. That is the greatest sporting
Yeah.
athlete out there now in the world.
I mean, thank you guys for joining us for this episode, and also not just this episode. Like, you've been showing us love throughout the World Cup, and it's a journey we started right after the T20 World Cup. It's been hectic, I suppose, but it's been fun. It's been one of the best
Yeah,
World
yeah.
Cups that I've ever seen, and it
It's
had to
not going
end.
away anywhere, guys. We'll be back in 48 hours. There's an IPL auction happening in Kochi.
Yes,
So we'll be back
yes,
in 48 hours with the
yes.
cricket news, which we've been not talking for a while. I don't think any sporting moment will give me
Sandhivani will be back.
satisfaction now, but I'll try. Sandhivani will, I'll pull Sandhivani is like being a RCB fan. Now, if RCB wins the IPL, that is it for me. I'll stop watching
Yeah, Abel, I
sports.
think I think we need to pump your brakes there because you can't have everything all at once. So maybe in the next 8 years, 20 years, 30 years, whatever.
No, RCB are winning the IPL.
Maybe Virat Kohli's last season. Maybe that's what.
Man,
Maybe
I don't
that's
care about IPL, man. What is this IPL and all? I don't care about it. Just let's talk about it. There's Argentina, and the last 3 months, right? We started from the T20 World Cup, ending it in FIFA World Cup. It's been
yeah.
three hectic, fun, emotional mangle of a journey of World Cups. Some crazy games, crazy upsets, crazy results. Now on 19 December, as we stand right at this point, I remember 19 December. I was just hoping 19 December I'll be the most happiest person. I was just manifesting it earlier on in October, even before T20 World Cup began. I'm just so happy that it has happened in such a way. You dream of it and it happens, and I'm just happy the way it has ended. But everybody who worked behind the scenes for helping us to be here to put up a
Yeah.
show every day, day in and day out. Everybody who joined us through the course of this journey, it's been wonderful, but it doesn't stop here. Is the best part. We'll be
Correct.
back in 48
It
hours
does.
time,
It does.
because
It does.
we shift gears and we move to IPL action. IPL action, which will take place from April, but the auction for that will be held in Kochi in a couple of days'
Yeah.
time. Some big buys which will change the history of your favorite team. We'll be talking about that in depth with some tactical analysis. Of course, we are going to switch to cricket for a while. Come back for Premier League, of course, the next weekend. The Boxing Day, it is Christmas weekend.
And then
Don't
obviously
go
UEFA
anywhere.
Champions League happening as well. Exciting tournament, exciting action coming along our way in that half as well, because it's going to be very different, right? The footballing season, because there's not often that right after the World Cup you're gonna have the Premier League, La Liga, Liga. All of these leagues will be just continuing from where they left off, and these players will have to go back and brush off the high or the lows of the World Cup and look at their clubs and the goals that they want to achieve in that season. So it's not going to be easy on the players, but it's going to be very interesting where things go.
Absolutely, and that's why it's going to be very interesting whether Julian Alvarez is even going to be motivated to come back to Manchester City day after tomorrow to play against Liverpool on the midweek, because they are playing Liverpool in 3 days time from now, 2 days time from now
Yeah,
rather. And I don't think Julian Alvarez will be in any mood to go to the Manchester City camp at this point. He'd want to go back to Argentina, soak in the moment, then come back. I don't think he'll be able to even put up a performance if you're actually going to put it. It's just asking too much out of him. So there's a EFL Cup quarterfinals which will be played in Manchester City in Liverpool in 3 days time. Footballing action continues. There is no stopping sporting action. Remember the test matches. There were two test matches which got over today, where Australia went on to win in 1.5 days time, which was actually what 742 overs of play. India went on to win by 180 odd runs against Bangladesh. Now they're number two in the WTC Championship, which makes them in a high possible chance to play the WTC final with Australia. But then still that final deciding series is going to be the Border Gavaskar Trophy. So a lot of things which we'll be covering through the course of the next couple of months or so. So don't go anywhere. We're going to be back. We're
yeah,
going to be back very, very soon.
absolutely. I mean, exactly as Abel rightly mentioned, sporting action doesn't stop. But thank you everyone for making this World Cup happen for us. And it's just great for us to bring the content to you guys. We hope you've enjoyed this World Cup. There'll be a lot more to come from our end, because, as he's rightly mentioned, sporting action doesn't stop. And Sandeep Mani will be back with us when we start talking about cricket, and we'll remove him from the comment section and put him in one of these tiny boxes that you find us in. But thank you guys for joining us throughout. But make sure that you guys still check out the Boomer 11 app, because we still have over 5,200 daily winners on our app, and Sharif DG predicted we have up to 4 electronics available. But most importantly, in on our African plus Eastern predictor, top 10 winners for every match, and 20th December is when we're declaring the winners rather, and you stand a chance to win 5 iPhone Pro Max. And if you don't end up in those top 10 winners list, then there are 45 G-Shock watches also available for grab. So even though the World Cup is over, Messi's gotten his prize, you might still end up getting yours on 20th December. So make sure you guys check out Boom 11 app on Apple App Store and Google Play. But thank you guys for joining once again, and our gratitude from us for you guys, because it's you who really encourage us and really motivate us to come back this late an hour and do our lives, and make sure we get this content out to you guys. So we hope you'll join us for the IPL action as well, and for the rest of the footballing season. But thank you guys once again. Thank you, Abel, and we'll be back soon. 48 hours,
Bye bye,
as
guys.
Abel said.
Bye bye, guys. Have a very good night. And if an
Yeah.
Argentinian fan have a sleepless night, soak it all in because you deserve
Hope
it.
you get some sleep in the next 48 hours, I suppose. 20
Yeah,
today, it's very tough.
yeah, absolutely. Bye bye.